Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for April 2nd at 7 p.m. For the record, Commissioner Ken Poisson is not with us today, and I would argue that he has a very valid excuse. Before I got to the meeting, he sent me a picture of his brand new, literally brand new granddaughter, Valentina. So congratulations to him. I'm sure the board will join me and send him a note and say, that we wish him the best and we wish her the best. So that's good news. Always good to have good news. So in his stead, Commissioner Alternate Member Judy Cleary will be sitting in for Mr. Poisson tonight. So, Ms. Cleary, we'll put you right to work. Would you care to call petition number 1? Just use your mic. Mike.
It's Judy Clary, alternate. 500 Sniffins Lane. Petition of the Landing Strip LLC seeking a site plan review and variance of Section 102 to 19 of the FEMA flood elevation requirement of 14 feet in order to reconstruct a marine facility. The hardship, a boat repair and shipyard facility, is defined by FEMA as a functionally dependent use, which entitles a waiver of the flood zone regulations.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Knott.
Good evening, ladies, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Barry Knott. I'm a lawyer with the firm of Knott & Dunn with offices at 1656 Main Street, Stratford. And at this time, I want to submit the certificates of mailing, and there's a bunch of them, and a photo of the posted sign as required by your regulations. I also want to make reference to a folder of exhibits I've handed to each of you, to which I'll be making reference during the course of my presentation. Now, I'm here this evening on behalf of Andrew Cooley, who sits behind me in the front row here, who with his wife are members of the Landing Strip LLC, owner of the parcel of land at 500 Sniffins Lane, 60,000 square feet. It's located on the Housatonic River next to the restaurant formerly known as Knapp's Landing, down at the end of Sniffins Lane in Stratford. As you face my client's property to the right is the Knapp's Landing. Andrew is also the sole member of Cooley Marine Management, which currently operates a boat repair, boat restoration, and boat building shop at 50 Housatonic Avenue in the former Brewers Marina. It's Andrew's intention to expand his current facility from Housatonic Avenue to this location on Sniffins Lane. Now, at this time, I want to take you through the photographs. Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 are photographs of the property as it currently exists. No improvements having been made. Exhibit 4 is a picture of Knapp's, which is located immediately to the right of this site as you face it. Exhibit 5 is a computer-enhanced aerial photograph of the site after the proposed marina is constructed. Exhibit 6 is another view, computer-enhanced view, which is taken from farther away. It shows Knapp's Landing to the right, industrial buildings along Sniffins Lane to the left, and Breakwater Key Condominium and Marina located at the bottom of the photograph. Exhibit 7 is an architectural rendering of the proposed marina building. Exhibit 8 is a neighborhood context map, which shows the location of all important buildings and uses in the area. Please note that I've highlighted in yellow the location of our proposed marina facility. Now, as Judy just indicated, this is an application seeking a site plan review and variance of Section 102-19 of the Town Code, which relates to the FEMA flood elevation regulations. Those regulations require elevation 14 at this location. We are proposing to build this facility at elevation 12.5, not 14. so we're 1.5 feet short. This is not an application for a variance, which you are typically see before you, a variance of zoning regulations. I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 50 years, God help me, and this is the first time that I've ever had a variance request for anything but a variance of the zoning regulations. It's very rare to have a variance request of the town code. The new building to be constructed at the site will contain approximately 6,000 square feet. It's a metal building built on a slab. Exhibit 19 is an architectural rendering of the proposed building, together with a copy of the floor plan. Exhibit 10 is a copy of the site plan and landscape plan for this proposed development. As you can see from the site plan, there is currently in existence a gas dock extending into the river. There's a gas dock there now. My client will not be operating the gas dock at this facility. However, he will rehabilitate and maintain the dock itself in order for him to receive, test, and store boats awaiting service. He's a boat repair. This is a boat repair business, a boat building business, custom boats. The facility will have 13 full-time employees, will be open from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, and occasionally on Stratford. We needed a number of approvals in order to perfect this application. ARB, Architectural Review Board, was one of them. Exhibit 11 is a copy of the ARB approval letter dated December 14, 2023. This proposal also requires notice to be provided to Connecticut DEEP regarding our CAM application. The CAM application will be heard and decided by the Zoning Commission at its April meeting. We were also required to provide notice to the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission. We appeared before the Waterfront Commission on January 10, 2024, and received unanimous approval from them for this proposal. This property is located in a WF waterfront business zone, and this permitted use as a marine service building is a permitted use in the waterfront business district, subject to special case approval. We had a public hearing before the Zoning Commission on our special case application, one on February 28, 2024, and one on March 27, 2024. The Zoning Commission has tabled our application pending approval of this requested variance by you. The Zoning Commission, assuming this is approved, and it is approved tonight, assuming, the Zoning Commission will act on our proposed special case application at its meeting on April 24th, 2024. We were going to have it approved at the Zoning Commission March meeting, subject to your subsequent approval of the variance, but it's not legal for one commission to approve an application subject to the approval by another commission. So because of that, we had to table the Zoning Commission pending the disposition of this variance request, and then they'll act on the special case application in April. Now, Dan's administrative comments are dated February 24th, 2024. Dan points out in his comments that the application is application for variance of section 102.19 of the town code. That's the provision of the town code that sets forth Stratford's flood damage prevention regulations. Unlike your typical ZBA application requesting a variance of the zoning regulations, here we are asking for a variance of the town code. The town code is the book of rules and regulations which affect all elected officials, town department administrators, and town employees, and to which they must comply. It's the rules and regulations of how to run the town of Stratford. Dan points out in his comments that there is contained in the town code different criteria for approving a variance. Specifically, variances may be only issued upon a showing of good and sufficient cause, a determination that failure to grant the variance would result in exceptional hardship to the applicant, and a determination that the granting of the variance will not result in increased flood heights, additional threats to the public safety, or extraordinary public expense, or create nuisances. In this case, the town code requires all building construction to comply with FEMA flood elevations, as I indicated. The flood elevation for this area is 14 feet. We're proposing 12.5, hence the need for the variance. However, FEMA regulations also provide for certain exceptions to the FEMA elevation requirements. One such exception is for a property which is known as a so-called functionally dependent use. Exhibit 12 is an email dated February 27, 2024, from Brian Donovan, Stratford's building inspector, who also serves as Stratford's FEMA coordinator. In other words, all FEMA regulations are coordinated through the building department, and Brian is the one who's responsible for coordinating the FEMA regulations. You're going to hear from him in a minute. But in this email of February 27th, Exhibit 12, Brian states, "I feel this is a justified variance due to the structure meeting the definition of a functionally dependent use." Exhibit 13 is the FEMA definition of a functionally dependent use. And it says, a functionally dependent use is a use which cannot perform its intended purpose unless it is located or carried out in close proximity to the water. Obviously, a marina needs to be in close proximity to the water. The term includes only docking facilities, port facilities that are necessary for the loading and unloading of cargo or passengers, and shipbuilding and ship repair facilities. That's the key phrase, shipbuilding and ship repair facilities, because my guy is going to create a marine service facility here. He qualifies as a shipbuilding and ship repair facility. And at this time, I would like to introduce Brian Donovan, who is kind enough to come here tonight at my request, because he will confirm what I'm telling you about the FEMA regulations. Brian?
Just to tell you, I'm nowhere near as long-winded as Barry. So
Can you just give us your name and address and just speak into the microphone, please?
Brian Donovan, 8 Hemlock Trail, Trumbull, building official for the town of Stratford and the floodplain administrator for the town of Stratford. So as Barry said, this building is a functionally dependent use. I've confirmed that with our FEMA rep through state of Connecticut. Because we also have to be careful because we are what's called a CRS community, and if we were to play around with that, we would actually be in violation, because we go above and beyond what the minimum FEMA standards are. So granting a variance for a functionally dependent use is a requirement to do. So, but if we do it, it will not have any impact on our CRS rating. With that being said, so yeah, it's required to be at elevation 14, but it's also in what's called the LIMWA, or high hazard coastal area, which means the construction type's different. I've talked to Barry and the contractor several times. What they're providing in lieu of strict compliance with FEMA's regs is they're going to build the building to a regular A zone standard instead of the high hazard area. So they're going to wet floodproof it, let the water go in, out, and everything below elevation 14, which they're still going to protect to, but not in the exact same manner that would be required. Everything that could be damaged is going to be above 14. If it's below 14, it's either going to be concrete or non-damageable by water product. Okay, so you're going to have a little office in there. That's going to be above 14. But out in the shop area, the shipbuilding area, that's the functionally dependent use, will be below 14, but able to withstand water.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody any questions of Brian?
I mean, FEMA stuff makes my head spin. I've been doing this 20 years, so.
I can see. Well, you know, you said in discussion, I'm new to this, so I'm just wondering, do you take that as in cement, that's going to happen, or?
What the
Just
plan
take
is,
their
it's
word
going to be
for
a
it, or?
concrete slab and
Well, that's what he's telling me, but is that going to be?
concrete stem walls, which are going to have flood vents into them, cut into them, so the water can go in and out
Yeah,
and not damage the structure.
and that's what he's telling you, but I mean, is there any guarantee?
I've already seen the
that-
plans.
I'm sorry?
I've seen the structural plans,
Okay.
so that's,
yeah.
and that's
All
the
right,
only thing
yeah.
I'll approve, because that's what.
Well, like I said, I'm
Yeah,
new to
yeah,
this, I'm just
I
trying
hear
to,
you.
yeah.
That's the only thing I will approve, because that is going to be what basically, you guys give the modification to.
Yes.
Make sense?
As the
Okay.
building inspector, the application for a building permit, which reflects what we're showing in on these plans, have to go to him. He reviews the application for a building permit and makes sure that the building permit documents comply with.
As I said,
Nice. Yeah, okay.
I'm the building official and floodplain administrator, among a couple other
Okay.
things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, just so you know what the specifics of this site are. Right now, as reflected in photographs 1, 2, and 3, the elevation of the property is at elevation 10. The site is contaminated. And in order to remediate the contamination on that property, my client has to bring in 1.5 feet of fill to raise the elevation of the property from 10 to approximately 11 and a half,
11 and a
okay?
half.
So the water is theoretically at 4.5 at mean high water. If we were to have to build this building to elevation 14, it would require another couple of inches of elevation between the water and the building. And in order to get boats in and out of that building, it would be a problem. So that's why FEMA considers this use to be a functionally dependent use, because we got to get boats in and out of the building. That's the bottom line here.
Ms. Cleary?
Is there any kind of capping required because it is,
It's contamination.
Would you explain the fill that you're going, this is my client, Andrew Cooley.
Hi,
Same thing, just give us your name and address and.
Andrew Cooley, 406 Old Post Road, Fairfield, owner of Landing Strip and Cooley Marine. So to required to meet the environmental regulations, we're required to put in 1 foot of fresh fill over everything that's existing, and then in areas where we're building, we're putting concrete down as a cap in that space there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions from members?
Thank you.
Before you go, a couple on mine. You think you're gonna get off that easy?
I thought I got away.
No.
I should have known better, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, so we have in front of us, let me make sure, I just want to make sure I understand the, we have a couple different sets of criteria that have been sent out in for us. There's the A through K list that Mr. Brennan provided. We got the 1 through 5 criteria, and then we have the criteria that was stated in the memo from Brian, from Mr. Donovan. So maybe actually, Mr. Brennan, maybe you could guide us here. I want to make sure I'm applying the right law to the facts as we go through this thing, so maybe if you could help us out.
Well, the approval criteria is on the second page of Dan's memo.
Yeah, 1 through 5.
1 through 5.
The 1 through
Okay?
5, okay.
And I read to you during my presentation numbers 4, A, B, and C, okay? The issues on page A are issues that would be relevant in all variance requests, not necessarily just this one, but depending upon the circumstances of a particular site, these could be relevant. Like A, the danger that materials may be swept into other lands to the injury of others. That's not applicable here, because boats are going to be in this yard at elevation 11, 11 and a half in the parking lot. Elevation 11, 11, they're going to be stored on trailers, waiting to be worked on. So if a flood comes along, what's going to get washed into the river, if anything, are going to be the boats that are on the trailers, not what's in this building. So for instance, so A doesn't apply.
So before we go off of A, so when we're talking about stuff that might be swept into other things, is there any other material that's going to be in the building itself that would be of concern, whether it be equipment, fuel, tools, parts, anything else that might be a danger, either environmentally or to navigation in
There
there?
would be parts and tools and marine equipment in the building But in a storm event, the building will be closed and locked, and any storm flooding that hits the building is going to wash through the breakaway gates at the bottom of the building. That's the whole purpose for these breakaway walls. So it's not going to be an issue as far as A is concerned.
Okay.
And that answer also applies to B. And it also applies to C. The importance of services provided by this facility to the community. This is a waterfront business district. Permitted use in a waterfront business district is a marine service building. We are proposing a marine service building. The only other marine service building that I can think of on Stratford's 9 miles of waterfront is Brewers Marina. And we got 9 miles of waterfront, and right now we got one marine service building. So do we need a second one? And he's the one that's working out of the one on Housatonic Avenue. So he's going to be expanding from Housatonic Avenue over here. So it's definitely needed. The accessibility of the facility to waterfront location, obviously you got to have a marina on the water. Alternate
That would help.
locations. There are no alternate locations. This is a waterfront business district. We've got an 1.5 acres here. It's more than enough to accommodate a 6,000 square foot building. He was looking around for years before he found this property, which came on the market when Mrs. Knapp died, the owner, Mrs. Knapp, the owner of Knapp's Landing. So he was able to acquire title to it, and he does own it now. The compatibility of proposed use with existing and anticipated development. You drive down Sniffin's Lane, both sides of the street are light industrial. There's no residences on Sniffin's Lane until you get to Breakwater Key. So it's consistent with the neighborhood. H is also consistent with the comprehensive plan of development. The comprehensive plan of development says there should be industrial on Sniffin's and waterfront commercial at this waterfront business at this location. So we're consistent with the plan of conservation. Safety of access to the property in times of flood and ordinary emergency vehicles. Emergency vehicles already have to get down to Breakwater Key in the event of an emergency, and to the restaurant for that matter. So what we do here is going to have no impact on accessibility by emergency vehicles. Height, velocity, duration rise, and sediment transport of the floodwaters due to wave action. There is not really any wave action at the Housatonic River at this location. The tide rises and falls. Even during a hurricane, this area of the Housatonic River doesn't get any significant wave action. And K, on the next page, the cost of providing governmental services during and after flood conditions. The cost of providing emergency services before and after flood circumstances is driven by dealing with the people at Breakwater Key. I mean, they're the ones that need the emergency service. We don't need emergency service. This place is going to be closed, locked up, and forget about it. So, well, these are interesting things to discuss, and I'm glad you brought it up, but none of them are really applicable. What is applicable are the ones on the next page, which I discussed in my presentation.
Okay, I do appreciate the discussion because that helps put some clarity behind it. Last question, more of a procedural question. Since this is a different kind of variance, I'm assuming this is still a 4 vote requirement?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so
think
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to know that. Okay.
I would hate to say it's only 3 and find out I only have 3. We need 4.
Generally, you're going to be safe that way.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any last questions for Mr. Knott before I call for public comment? No? Okay. Any members of the public wish to speak in favor of the petition? Anybody in favor? Anybody wish to speak in opposition to the petition? Anyone in opposition? If not, we'll take a motion to close this petition by Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? Ms. Cleary? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Ms. Sweeley, could you call petition number 2, please? (1356) Elm Street, petition of Willie Wooden Jr.,
seeking a site plan review and variance of 3.14 for work within 50 feet of an inland wetland area and 3.11 of the side setback requirement in order to expand an existing garage incidental to a single-family home. Hardship, a pre-existing non-conforming corner lot with existing non-conforming structures combined with the presence of inland wetlands on the neighboring parcel. This makes it extremely difficult to comply with the zoning regulations.
Okay, good evening, petitioner, I'm assuming. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I am Megan Rowley. I'm the agent for the homeowner. We are the contractor.
Can you just spell your last name so we can get it in the...
Rowley, and Megan is Megan, no H.
Thank you.
And the property location is 1356 Elm Street. So, and as she mentioned, the hardship is that it's a pre-existing non-conforming corner lot with existing non-conforming structures combined with the presence of the inland wetlands on the neighboring parcel, which makes it difficult to comply with the zoning regulations. So we are looking for a variance to take a current one-car garage with a wood shed and convert it, the one-car garage, into a two-car garage by taking down the wood shed and expanding that current one-car garage.
Okay, just reviewing the plans here.
Yep.
Okay. While I'm looking at that, any questions from members? Go ahead, Ms. Wheeling.
The existing garage stays as it is, just get rid of that little building and build onto it that way?
Yes, so we will be taking down the wall of the garage too, to expand it.
Yeah.
So there will be digging, there will be minimum digging, but on the opposite side from where the wetlands are, excavation so we can match up the slab and then, yes, just extend that.
Yeah, I drove by and looked at that tonight. It's a nice, really nice place.
What was that?
I said it's a very nice place.
It is, it's very nice. I love that location. Right near the beach.
The existing
Mr. Carroll.
structure, the garage that's there now, that
Yeah.
does have a significant foundation
Yes.
to it. Because again, I also drove by the site,
Mm-hmm.
did a preliminary look.
Yes.
It just seemed to me that that garage was compromised, the existing garage that was there is compromised, and that it's leaning, and, it just made me question the feasibility
Right,
of the
so,
foundation that's there.
so what they would do is, obviously, put up, before they took anything down, support structure, and then at that point, make sure that you could just renovate rather than have to do a complete tear down and rebuild.
Yes, I know the structure can be obviously taken care of, but my
Right.
question is more the foundation, where, once this project is begun, is it gonna be, well, now all of a sudden the whole garage is going to start from scratch?
Right, which then it would, they would put it in place and put a new foundation. Obviously, even with any digging, we will be putting up the silt fencing to protect that wetlands area, which is behind there. But we want to keep it in that same location because they do have a pool in the backyard as well, and a driveway there. So we wanted to try and keep it in that same area. But yes, if there is anything that needs to be redone, it will be repoured.
Well, I realize it would be done, but, more of my question would be you don't have the side, I guess it hits the rear lot being of this corner.
Yeah.
You're I can't even read with my glasses, I think 1.8 feet or something.
Do you want, here, do you want a bigger one? A larger?
It's just, the only dimension I have in question is the distance of the existing garage to the property line.
To where, right, to where the fence is. Yeah, like I said, because it was already there. So when the homeowner purchased the home, which I believe was a couple of years ago, she had in mind that she did want to take that garage and make it into a two-car garage because it just wasn't practical for her and her husband. I don't think she was aware at the time of, you know, where the property lines were, and she was just assuming that because there was something on her property, she would be able to just renovate and remodel.
I would also like to mention, late this evening, I got an email from our conservation director, Kelly Kerrigan, which said the only application that the applicant needs for the garage from inland wetlands is an administrative permit, which will be issued this week to them. There's no public required for it. Really, her concern was that silt fence and soil erosion controls are installed prior to any construction activity.
And we're going through this approval before, you know, I think with the building department, I've contacted them just to make sure, you know, that the plans and what we wanted to do was okay to move forward before, you know, going forward with this, so.
I guess my only concern again would be just with the proximity to the property line, that it's very hard to install erosion control if it does come. This has to be excavated and redug for the project, and we're only a foot and a half off the property line to have all that in place, being that it's town property next door.
Right.
Most times, that goes unnoticed because it's not somebody living on the property that's gonna say, hey, they're on my property.
Right. If we had to redig and excavate, our suggestion to the owner in that, you know, the zoning regulation and move it over.
You've answered my question.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to keep the costs down for the homeowner as much as we can. So, but if it does need to, if the foundation needs to be done, we're definitely gonna suggest to move over for all purposes. You know, it'll be better for the next homeowner.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in favor? Anybody in opposition? Anyone in opposition? It's a quiet night tonight. Okay, we'll take a motion to close.
Motion to close.
By Ms. Cleary, second by Ms. Sweeley. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Okay, with that, that's our last petition, so we'll recess without objection, we'll recess the public hearing and move into the administrative session at 7:34 p.m. Let me just switch over and get my correct agenda here. Aha, here we go. Okay, so item number 1 is Sniffen's Lane. Do we want to take it off the table for discussion? By Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? By Ms. Cleary. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. It's open for discussion. We're open for motions. Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Ms. Cleary. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
By Mr. Carroll. Okay, discussion. Anybody want to lead off, because we do have to go through some of these criteria. I'll get started and then people can
Excuse
jump in.
me.
Yep.
Are they going to secure on the boat boat repair shop? You know, when he said, the lawyer said that, yes, the boats can go away, but in the building, but they should secure the boats that are outside. They're going to chain them up, you know, lock them up. So when there's a hurricane or, you know.
I'm pretty sure, you know, the entire site will be secure. And in regards to any flooding during storms, the building, since it's being designed towards FEMA standards, has what's called breakaway walls during certain size storm surge that, you know, those walls will break away to let the water flow freely forward and back instead of taking the materials from the inside, knocking the building down and pushing it downstream. So FEMA's got that covered.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good point. Because actually that leads into, I know he went through the different criteria and the item A, and I think that's what Commissioner Lynch was referencing, is that materials could be swept into other lands. So it looks like I'm satisfied with the discussion that was presented, that the efforts are made to secure all of that, thereby reducing the danger to life and property due to flooding and erosion damage. And I think we had a good discussion in the record of the additional criteria, including obviously you can't have a boat repair yard inland. That's going to be problematic, so it's necessary to bring it there. It does seem that they're already bringing it further up by bringing in the fill to raise the building, so then we're only off by, looks like 1.5 feet in here. So there was a good discussion of all of the items here in conformance with the plan. Safety access, again, it's being driven more by Breakwater Key. I'll accept that because that's the only residential property in that area, at least right now. Going through some of the ZBA criteria here, this is not applicable as being in the Register of Historic Places and so on. It does appear that this is the variance that is minimally necessary, as was brought in the record. There was discussion that should it be brought any further, it would impede the ability of the boats to be serviced in the facility. And obviously that would cause us to have a failure that would be an exceptional hardship because they wouldn't be able to actually do what they're supposed to be doing. We heard no indication of any additional threats to public safety, public expense, nuisances, fraud, victimization, or any conflicts with any laws or ordinances. And it seems like this is going to be overseen closely by the building official. So it seems like we have just about everything covered here, and there's a recommendation that the ZBA grant this. So I'm certainly happy to support this as we go forward. So, okay, further comments, discussion from members? Did I make a motion to approve it? I can't remember. Yeah, June did.
And Mr. Carroll seconding the motion, but now you gotta vote on it.
Okay, very good. So see, I'm getting a little distracted. Okay, then we'll go to a vote. Ms. Okay, Ms. Lynch? Ms. Cleary?
Approve.
Mr. Carroll? And I vote yes to approve, so that's 5 in favor, none in opposition, so the motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Okay, item number 2. Somebody want to take it off the table? Ms. Sweelan, motion to take it off the table. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Open for discussion or motions on 1356 Elm Street. Anyone want to make a motion to approve? Motion approved by Mr. Carroll, second by Ms. Sweely. Okay, discussion? Okay, Mr. Carroll?
Mr. Chairman, the one
Yes, sir.
issue that I might have with it. I would just like there to be a stipulation in this that if the structure does end up coming down 100%, that it does fall within the setback lines, and you know, move it to the 3 feet off the property line, as opposed to where it is now.
Okay. So that would bring it in accordance with,
Yeah, the current setback would be 3 feet, which would bring it
okay,
into.
yeah.
I have no objection to that. That seems reasonable. Mr. Carroll, do you want to try to walk us through the criteria? Or, let me see if I have it. Here we go.
It's on everybody's plan.
Yep.
Setbacks are.
Okay, let's see here. The special circumstance, we've had I'll take it. So the hardship has been identified as pre-existing non-conforming corner lot with existing non-conforming structures, making it difficult to comply. I think we've all seen the map where it is, so that makes sense to me. The hardship did not exist, or the applicant did not become an interested party, or it was not created. We heard testimony to that effect, that they were unaware of the situation as they became, and they've shown a willingness to conform should reconstruction of the thing be necessary. It does appear this is minimal in nature. It's not self-created, and it does qualify, according to this, it does qualify for hardship. And again, here it says, on the stipulation mentioned by the administrator, which I don't think there's an objection to this, but we can add it in there certainly. All necessary siltation and erosion control shall be in place, and the zoning enforcement officer shall be notified for an inspection prior to any site construction work being performed. Is that acceptable to those making the motion and second? Very good. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, then we'll go to a vote. Ms. Sweeley?
Approve.
Ms. Lynch? Ms. Cleary? Mr. Carroll? And chair votes to approve. That's 5 in support, none in opposition. It is approved. Congratulations. Okay. So now we go to approval of minutes of the March 5th, 2024 meeting. Ms. Cleary was not present in there, so we'll have to be just the 4 of us on that particular item. Can I have a motion to approve? Mr. Carroll, a second. By Ms. Sweeley. Any discussion, corrections, modifications? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries 4-0. Mr. Brennan, any erosion sediment control approvals, anything for us? Okay. Any members have any concerns, comments, complaints, praise? No? Okay. Okay, then our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 7th. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. By Mr. Carroll, second Ms. Cleary. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 7:43 p.m. Everybody stay dry. It's a mess out there. Speaking of flooding.